Welcome to the Round 13 review after the Blues beat the Bombers at the MCG on the King's Birthday Eve clash. It was 11 goals 12, 78 to 11 goals 4, 70. It was not pretty. It was a cold night at the MCG. And it was an unconvincing performance, and it was a bit gritty in the end, and it was actually a typical Carlton win of recent times. Show a lot of promise and show signs of growth, and then immediately show signs of maybe regression. It had a little bit of everything about it, but alas, we are here with what was a much-needed win. Every win is much needed, but I think going into the second half of the season, I think it was really important to see a win to hopefully build off something and create something and hopefully come out the other end of 2025 with some positive momentum, whatever that looks like. I mean, in my mind, I really don't want to give up on the season. I want to fight to the very end and hopefully qualify for finals and, give it a crack, go down swinging, whatever that looks like. So we got the win. It was a very strange affair last night. I was at the MCG, sitting in the Legends Lounge section. I felt this eeriness before the game, not going to lie. I mean, there were 74,000 people at the MCG last night in the end. But pre-game, there was just a similar eerie feeling around the MCG. And it reminded me a bit of that feeling before the Giants game. It was almost like let me wait and see what I'm going to see on the field before I decide whether or not I'm going to get up and about. And I don't know if that was just me. I don't know if that's just because I'm feeling a bit disenchanted at the moment with the club and the team, and that is making my perception of things seem what they are, or if that's just how everybody else perceived it. I guess it depends where you're sitting as well. But yeah, pre-game was interesting. They did this thing pre-game where they showed like the great highlights of Essendon and Carlton, which I always thought was going to be a really interesting exercise. I don't know how they came up with it, but whatever. I just felt it was really weird at a Carlton home game to be watching great Essendon highlights. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. Didn't show the 2011 final. One of the great memories of my life with Essendon. Didn't show... I think they missed Andrew Walker's mark as well. They showed the Steve Silvani, was it touched on the line, was it not moment, and then I tuned out after that because I'm like, hang on a minute, this is weird. What are we showing this for? But I think that also played into my feeling pre-game, just the frustration as well. I did the game day stream, and yeah, I don't know. I didn't go into the game last night expecting a 5-6 plus goal beating of the Bombers. It was a rivalry game, and every time we have this fixture with them, generally in recent times especially, no matter what's happening, what the context is, it's generally an uncomfortable watch because both teams play into the rivalry a bit. And I think with everything that happened last night and the frustration that's being felt, I think if most people forgot, like the club really did build this up as the rivalry. They lent into the rivalry, which is something that they've been criticised of not leaning into with other games in the past. So we'll be curious to see if they lean into the rivalry, once we play Collingwood or once we play Essendon again later in the year. So yeah, I thought pre-game was just a little off. Really interesting when they read out the names of the players. Charlie usually gets just a really massive ovation and a really loud sound. Didn't really get much of a sound, which I thought was also interesting. Freddie Mercury got a run. Can't believe they've brought it back. They had a perfect opportunity to just let it go and just let it be. Because I don't know, I don't believe the crowd is getting into it. And again, someone just, if I'm being a hater, please, I'm happy for feedback to be given. I just don't think it is empowering the crowd pre-game the way I think they were hoping it would. Maybe because we're losing as well doesn't help. I don't know. I hear it and it's like screeching in my ears. And then I almost start liking it, and then it stops, and then a new sound starts in the Seven Nation Army, and it's like, just pick one. It sort of reflects a little bit on the field and as the club in general. Like, you're just not sure what to focus on, so you pick a couple of things. It's like, just make a move and stick with it. Anyway, game starts, and as the crowd is waiting for something, which is the way I perceive the crowd, Adam Sard kicks the first goal of the game. Incredible. Adam Sard running in straight lines towards goal. Incredible. There's a blanket rule that I would like to have applied to Adam Sard and the way that he's coached and the way that he plays. He should never be allowed to run left or right. He should only be allowed to run in a straight line towards the goal. So whatever that looks like, coaching staff, that's what it should be. Because any other time he's running, if it's not straight towards the goal, rarely does something great happen. But that was great. Kicked a goal. I don't really remember many of his goals, but it was good to get that going because I think that activated the crowd a little bit. And to be fair, I think the first quarter was brilliant. Going into the week, we've been talking about, how congested the ground is. Charlie Curnow in his press conference last week also spoke about that, and how he felt like we needed to lengthen the ground a little bit because it's a bit congested, and the ball carrier is finding it a little bit tricky or difficult to pinpoint a pass. But I thought that was coming to fruition in the first quarter. Charlie on the lead, Williams hits him up, and all of a sudden you remember why Williams is important to the team. Charlie kicks the goal. Jesse Motlop, who for whatever reason could not find space all season, finds himself in a pocket of space. It was just brilliantly worked, and he kicks his first goal. Then there was a perfect passage of play in the first quarter. There was a switch, and then a switch again, and it went all the way up the wing, all the way to the other end of the field. It was just a perfect goal. Like, it was just perfect. And so first quarter, I'm like, great, adjustments have been made. We've identified what's going on, and 6 goals in the first quarter from 13 inside 50. So talking about the efficiency of Carlton, which has been the big talking point. No issue winning the ball, big issue using the ball, particularly going inside 50. Up by 33, I think it was, at quarter time. We'd almost doubled the marks of the Bombers. So really controlled the play, found space. Second quarter starts, became a little bit more of an arm wrestle. That's for sure. Ended up getting the lead out to 38 at this point in the second quarter. Then a few things go against us. Cooper Lord gives away a 50-metre penalty. Jesse Motlop hits up a brilliant kick to Zach Williams, who just drops an uncontested mark in forward 50. There's been a lot of talk around, the game style and, are we coached? Are we set up to succeed? But when you start seeing, dropped uncontested marks and some of the skill errors, oh my God. And some of the decisions that are made, Blake Acres, bless his soul, but some of the handball decisions that he didn't make just got the crowd up in arms. So yeah, it was a tussle in that second. The third wasn't great, wasn't much better. Started seeing a few more things that just started to build the frustration after a really promising first quarter. Sam Doherty handballing to Chincotta's feet, just little things like that, which, is that coachable? Is that coaching, or is that just the players in the moment failing to execute the basics? The Chera turnover goal, just kicked it a little bit too hard. Then the Blake Acres turnover where he just didn't give the handball when he needed to. It was like the Blues started slowing down mentally in their minds. After playing with such precision, it was just like they all of a sudden found that 0.5 of a second that it takes to just get caught or to make the wrong decision or to put yourself under pressure, and just a series of unfortunate events. And, you know, Peter Wright kicks his second in a row. The game is a 9-point game at this point. And from that moment, I don't know how you all felt the game there or watched it at home or wherever. Straight away, I'm like, Richmond, round one. Yeah, it just started feeling like that again. The series of unfortunate events and unfortunate turnovers started piling up, and I thought, oh, they're going to lose their heads here. It's, you know, it had that feeling about it. No run at all. And then to compound that, the Bombers, who, by the way, you got to be proud if you're a Bomber fan. They were just gallant. They just kept at it. They were obviously hindered by the fact that they had so many of their best players out. Caddy kicks the ball off the ground, lace out. Lace out to Gresham. So we're making mistakes, they're compounding, and then the Bombers are getting these types of moments go their way, and they were very accurate on the night as well. They were 11 goals for the night as well. So it all just started adding up to a disaster, potentially, in my mind. And after talking about 6 goals from 13 inside 50s in the first quarter, we get to 3-quarter time and we've kicked 3 goals from the following 28 entries inside 50. And I'm like, dear. Ugh. So that frustration returns. We get to the 4th. Blake Acres from the boundary, after playing one of the most frustrating games I've seen him play, kicks that goal from the boundary, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. But that's Blake. Like, that is, in a nutshell, that's Blake. He can look a bit laconic. He can be very untidy with the way he uses the ball at times. He really can. And then he can also kick goals from angles which make no sense. So that got there. We ended up getting one of the first easy goals over the top in a while, which ended up in Chera kicking it over to Williams. Then there was a moment where we really could have iced the game. Jesse Motlop, who I thought had a pretty good game, and he just had a regulation set shot. I think Setterfield was giving him a little bit of lip as well, and I sort of saw Jesse smiling and laughing about it. I remember thinking in the moment, laugh with him after, just lock in, kick this, and go. And he missed it, and the frustration built. And then down the other end, Jacob Wiedering goes up for a mark, ball hits his head, Falcon. Nick Martin kicks the goal on the other end, and you're like, oh my goodness, 12-point game. Setterfield then just completely disposes of Walsh like he's a first-year player. Takes the mark inside 50, Dersma mark, goal, and I'm like sitting there in my chair. I'm like, you joke! Like, it's about to happen again. It's about to happen again. They're gonna do it again. But fortunately, it didn't happen, and we hold on for a win against the arch rival in front of 74,000 people. What was really interesting about last night, doing the fan cams, I felt and sensed more anger from the supporters after that win against the Bombers than some of the losses that I've seen this year, because the losses have generally been just down and accepting, like, we suck, and like, it's just so sad. Whereas we won this game, albeit in a frustrating way, and it was anger. So we're in a really interesting space. I mean, we're 5-7. That's where we are, and the guys just got to chip away at it. Vossi made some pretty interesting comments in his presser, sort of accepted where they were at, kind of thing, and then spoke about how they've got to chip away at unpacking how they're going to get better, which I struggle to hear at times because it's like, mate, what do you mean? Like, we're going to chip away at how to get better. Like, we've seen this. And I find myself conflicted a little bit because, like expectations and you want to be better. And then when you really break it down, some of these guys that are on this team, like they're not as good as what we hope that they would be. And I'm talking about some of these recruits, older guys, and they're more so role players. I mean, Sard, McGovern, Williams, like they're not the icing on the cake star players that I think I was hoping that they would be when they first got to the club. And they're also, they're getting on. We've got quite a few kids out there. Hudson O'Keefe makes his debut. Matt Carroll, still very raw. Cooper Lord is probably one that is the exception to the rule. Like he is a kid for this exercise of the discussion, but he performs pretty well. Not a star, but he's going okay. I don't feel like we're carrying him at times. I feel like he's maybe performing better than some of his senior players. Will White's out there. He was the sub. Jesse Motlop's just had a pretty solid game for the first time in a while now. There's just quite a few youngsters out there, and there've been quite a few youngsters out there for the season. So I struggle to just try and figure out, what are we trying to do here? Like, we've got, Vossi mentioned the balance between, trying to find the depth and then you're thinking about, okay, well, you want to win, but you also want to win in a way that you see what the future of your list looks like. So I struggle a little bit with that. I go back and forth with that at times. He mentioned, Hudson O'Keefe, and he said 6 weeks ago, I didn't think he was, at the level for AFL, which I thought was an interesting comment to make. And also a big kudos to Hudson, who has been on the list for a little while now. He's just chipped away at it. Had some pretty nasty injuries. I still remember the hamstring that he did going up for the specky on the tackle bag or on the marking bag, and he didn't look out of place at all. I was pleased for him, and great story. And I think you've got to try and inject as much of that into the team as you can, because there is a residual downer effect that I think has seeped into some of the players, because it must be tough to play for the club. I mean, there's a lot that comes with it, and it's energy sapping. I can only imagine what it's like being, someone that wears the monogram and, you're just amongst it. But, then there's the argument, they get paid what they get paid. It's professional sport. Yeah, it is. Doesn't take away from it being, taxing. So where we get bursts of energy like Hudson O'Keefe and some of these young guys, I think it's good. Didn't look out of place. Gives us something to look at. Throws his weight around, which I like more than anything. Competes at a pretty high level. So I was pretty pleased with that. And yeah, I think, Jack Silvani coming into the team just reminds everyone, it's such a difference what he does to that back line. It's quite remarkable. And I don't want to get into the Messiah complex because I'm just over that. I'm trying to grow up from that and get over that. But he really does do something energetically to that back line. I can't explain it, but it's very different when he is in the back line compared to when he is not in the back line. Something extremely different happens in the way that I watch the team. 8 different goal kickers, I think, is a plus. That's what needs to happen rather than relying on just one. And yeah, we beat the Bombers in round 13. I'm not getting over the top. It was just a win. It wasn't pretty, but it was just a win, and a win that will likely be forgotten about pretty quickly, I think. There was a very interesting moment. I forgot to mention this. So when Jesse Motlop kicks his second goal, I got an incredible case of deja vu. So Mitch McGovern kicks the ball. I think he was trying to kick it to Charlie. And so Charlie, Jesse Motlop is here, and the ball kind of goes in between the both of them. And in the split second, I feel like life and the world froze, and I went back in time. Everything went black and white, and I saw Jack Silvani kicking the ball in between Charlie and Matt Owies in 2023. Do you remember that? And the ball just went in between them and went nowhere. And it nearly happened again. But Jesse was good enough to get his hand out, juggle it, earn himself another 10 metres and then take the mark. And, I don't know if anybody else felt or saw that, but I had the flashback immediately. It was amazing. So that was interesting. And yeah, got to take it. Hopefully it's something they build off. This block of, 4 weeks, which is how I think it's helped me look at the season and just get through. The block of 4 weeks is one that we really have an opportunity to do something with and build some confidence and momentum. Touch wood, there were no injuries from round 13. We're also going to get a couple more off the injury list. And we're in good shape in terms of health. Touch wood, obviously. Harry obviously is out. We're missing Elijah. I think Cowan will be ready for selection next week. He might play a game in the VFL or two, whatever. Strong performance in the VFL from some of the young fellas as well. So it's just a chip away job. What I felt last night, particularly with the fan cams, is a lot of us are struggling to just stay present. It's always, a lot of the rhetoric is, if it was Collingwood, if it was Brisbane, if the Bombers had their full strength team in, if it's a lot of us are living in the if that was a final and we showed up like that, if we keep playing like this, there's just no way that we're going to be able to do anything. A lot of it is living in hypotheticals, and I think it's sucking the joy out of the moment. We won. Doesn't mean that everything's fixed, but end of the day, we won the game. I would rather than this group have a turning point and figure it out than have to go through what the other suggestion is, just blow the whole joint up and start again and get fed another 5-year plan. And, I think there's a bit of a regeneration of the list happening as we speak. We don't see 5 debutants by round 13, usually. That's not something that we see. So it's tough, but it's not right or wrong. That's just how people are feeling. They're so mad. They're so angry. They want better. They want more. And they should want more. And that's what makes, the support of the club special. People are demanding more. They want better. So, yeah, I just try my best to just stay as fluid as possible. But if we had a loss last night, I ain't getting over it. It stings when we lose to the rivals because it means something. It means nothing, but it does mean something. So anyway, that was my experience. What about you? How did you experience yesterday? What were the themes and issues and scenes of yesterday that stick out to you that you want to highlight? Player performances that you want to highlight? Share with us in the comments below, and we will move on from that one pretty quickly. We'll recap it, review it, ratings, Blue Abroad show, and then on to the Eagles Sunday night graveyard shift. See you soon. Go Blues.